A win over Bournemouth earlier in the day with a 5-1 victory against Wolves. It takes them to within a point of the league leaders, and of course Manchester City still have that game in hand. It is in their hands as far as winning a fourth consecutive title is concerned, and it was powered by Erling Haaland, watched on by his proud father as he scores 4 Premier League goals for the first time. He's got 5 a couple of times in a cup game, but it's the first time he's got 4 Premier League goals, and he's just breaking records every single time he goes to the pitch, Micah. And this is in a season that's been hit at times by injury for him. Yeah,
it's staggering, really, because obviously when you win the treble last season, the question, can you go again? Can you go again? And yes, his form has been probably not at the level of last season, because we all expect so much from him. But since he's come back from this injury, it's like a newfound confidence. When he came up against Forest the other day, his hold-up play was outstanding. Obviously, he gets his goal. But, I mean, his all-round general play now is the most thing I'm impressed with.
It's
excellent.
Very sharp.
And we can hear from the man of the moment. Erling Haaland joins us now. Erling, thank you so much for your time today. Let's talk, first of all, about what it means to the club to get this result, to stay within touching distance of Arsenal and to keep the league title in your own hands.
Yeah, as I said, last weekend, important win, 3 points. Get back in and relax and everything. Yeah, keep going, 3 points, important, and focus on next.
Yeah, relax until next weekend. But in terms of your own performance, Erling, it's just incredible numbers once again. You're on 25 Premier League goals for the season. It's the first time you've scored 4 Premier League goals in a game. You're on 25
goals this season. Yeah, thanks for that, and we keep going.
Yeah, it's been incredible. Micah was just talking there about how you find as a team the motivation after winning the treble to go again. But how do you individually find that internal motivation to keep pushing for more incredible numbers?
Yeah, I've got a not so bad manager who pushes me, and obviously look at the players around me. I said it so many times before. Without them, it would not be possible. And yeah, I try to develop every single day. I had some problems here and there, but let's not focus on them. Focus on the positive things and look ahead. Look to the next one. We've got 4 finals left for our season, and we're going to go for it. And try not to think and focus on Fulham.
Erling, Jamie Redknapp, congratulations for fantastic goals. I want to talk about the second and the fourth one, especially the second one. Talk to us about that leap, the athleticism you've shown. It was like in England we say it's like a salmon the way you rose.
Yeah, it's a beautiful goal, and yeah, I think my father's going to be happy with that one. He's been talking to me about trying to hit the ball at the highest point, and that's exactly what I did. So beautiful goal, and yeah, after that, nice celebration. So yeah, I enjoyed that one.
Is that, when you talk about that, is that something you're working on? Because I've always thought you're a fantastic header of ball, but you are even still trying to improve those little details so you can score even more headers?
Yeah, of course, and I'm scoring more headers as well. Yeah, I try to develop and yeah, keep going.
And that fourth goal, an important goal, because obviously they'd just scored. Maybe a few nerves, 3-1, they feel like maybe they were back in the game. How important was not just the goal, but also a fantastic finish from your point of view? And once you got it back on that left foot, you just delivered it into the far corner.
Yeah, it was a beautiful goal, I have to say that. So yeah, I don't know what more I can say. It was a nice goal and a great ball from Phil, and yeah, focus on next one.
Erling, could I just ask you about goal difference? Obviously, under Mancini, we won the league on goal difference. Is that something Pep keeps reminding you of?
No. First of all, it's about winning the games. But, of course, you want to have the best possible goal difference as you can, no matter what. But let's don't think about that. Think about Fulham.
Erling, really appreciate you coming to talk to us. Thank you so much, and congratulations on a great performance.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Interesting to hear him talk, particularly about the areas of his game that he's working on, because you alluded to it earlier, and he alluded to it himself in his interview, that there has been criticism of him this season because of the standards he set last season in part, and then also because he's been coming back from injury at times.
Yeah, I think when you're that level of player, every week you're going to get scrutinised. There's been times within games where you want him to hold up the ball a little bit more. If you've seen the size of him, use his strength. And we're not talking about an Alvarez who's going to come into that number 10, into the pockets and play. We're just about using that strength for the advantage. Obviously, he's still a young player, and he will improve. I just think to go to that next step where we're talking, you know, Ballon d'Or contenders every year, it's just, can he bring that other side into his game? And I think he is now. That's what we've seen, more a rounded player, especially the last couple of games.
Look, we all want so much from a forward, so much from a player. Sometimes we talk about the little finesse and the little touches that maybe he doesn't do as well. But what he is he's an animal. The guy is an animal in front of goal. And the mentality he has, like, he scored 4 goals today, and you could see that he was furious that he'd come off. He was fuming. He wanted to score more goals. A lot of players I played with that were goal scorers, they'd have been like 4 goals, stand ovation, off you get, sit down, take an easy game for Fulham next week. This guy's built differently. He is a phenomenon, and to have him in our league, I just love watching him, because of all the goals that he scores, and he wants more. And I'll tell you why, because he knew that there was going to be another chance, and the one that Alvarez actually scored would have been perfect for him to get 5. And he wants to do that. He wants to destroy teams. You know, the guy is just built completely differently. And yeah, I think it's very easy to say what he can't do and just enjoy what he can, because he has given City a difference. You know, there are times when they won the league without a striker, and we were talking about when they get that final piece in the jigsaw, and he's certainly that. You know, he won the treble last year. When people criticise him, I do find it really hard to understand sometimes.
But you want to improve as a player, though, don't you, Jamie? I think
of course.
We're not critiquing everything of his game. I just think you've been in that situation. There's always a weakness in your game, and you just want to get him, you know, improve on that. Obviously, some of the comments maybe have gone a little bit too far, but I totally agree with you in terms of goal scoring. The very best.
Yeah, and many strikers would love to have an off-season where they score 25 goals
Exactly.
and they've still got 3 games left to play, and 4 games in this 4 goals in this game alone. It started off with a penalty, and there was quite a bit of toing and froing between the referee and the VAR. It was given on field as a penalty. What did you guys make of the decision?
I think it was very soft. I think after seeing it so many different times, I think in the end it probably was just the right decision. I've been in that situation so many times where you've gone to the ball and then you collide with the player. It happens.
Yeah.
But on the third angle, for me, is where I thought...
It's quite damning.
It's quite damning.
But you can see there that they set up differently. They've got a back 5, but they've got a left-footed wing-back playing at right-back. So that in itself causes a few difficulties, and he's obviously the key man to keep your eye on. There he is there, Aït-Nouri. And Manchester City work the ball really well. They've got Phil Foden in tight areas. Wolves, from their point of view, we're so disappointed because you can see as that ball then gets played, 2 really important players. You don't really want this guy picking the ball up there, and you certainly don't want runners like that. With Rodri and Foden, so exceptional. They don't really track them, and then they've got a major problem. The other thing that happens, and Micah did this at half-time, now, there is the man there. Aït-Nouri. He needs to, as a defender, his body shape is completely wrong, and he also needs to be checking his shoulder at all times to see what's coming behind him. He doesn't really... He's done it once. That isn't enough. You've got to... Your head has to be on a swivel at all times. And as that ball then comes in, Micah, he sees him so late. It's a little bit like Ben Davies last week with Declan Rice.
Yeah, I just think, let's, talk about Aït-Nouri a little bit. He's a left-back, left winger, he's played a free role. He's not used to playing on this right-hand side. But you just see he goes with his left foot. And he's normally used to defending on the other side. And because he's so left-footed, he wants to go with his left foot. And we're going to show his body shape. I think when you're a young player and people talk about body shape,
Yeah.
it's so important because a little turn of the body where you can see the opponent and you can see what's in front of you at the same time is so important.
Well, that was your position.
Yes.
So it must be probably much easier over here. If I'm looking at your body position as a fullback, and you can obviously be Nouri and I'll be Guardiola. So if you're there, as that ball's coming in, the cross is going to come in from this way. I am
Guardiola.
Yeah, I'm Guardiola. What does he first of all do wrong? Because should his body be open more so he can see obviously the man and the ball? It's his body shape, hasn't he?
Okay, so that's exactly right. So you don't forget his left foot. He played on the right. So first of all, he wants everything on the left foot. If the ball is coming from there where the cross was coming from,
Yeah.
you want to be on this because it's easy to clear the ball. But we talk about body shapes here. You can only deal with what's in front of you on this angle here. If I was to open up my body there, I can still see what's happening to the left side, but I can also see Guardiola. I think that was the problem.
Because as that cross is coming, is it fair to say, as a fullback, and we don't see it very often now, you've got to be like there, you've got to be checking your man, where is he? I've got a good I can spot him, he's in my peripheral vision, but I've also got to be seeing if anything else happens here.
Yeah.
And that's where he gets wrong, because by the time he doesn't actually look, and all of a sudden, it's here, and he's on top of him, and that's where he obviously gets it wrong. He doesn't see him.
Yeah, that was the first mistake, but obviously the ball's there, so instantly you want to be able to push off and go and head. So there will be a time where your body will be facing this way, but obviously you've got to look behind you. He had two looks, and by the time he tried to look again, it was too late.
Is it fair to say as well, Micah, that because if you go round to the position you were in initially there, he then has to make 1, 2 movements, then by that time it's too late. If he would have got in that position like he should be, where you get in the right position, you straight away can rush out here and probably clear that ball. But because he has to turn, and because it's difficult for him, because he's playing on the wrong side, that's really where they get caught out.
That's exactly it. And I mean, look, we're talking in the game, things go so quickly. So you've only got a split decision to make. Shall I go? Shall I stay? Unfortunately, by the time he made the decision, it was just a little bit too late.
Yeah, I like that. That's good.
Tackle him now.
That's a masterclass, I would call that, mate. But then, because that is the difficulty sometimes, and obviously you're trying to stay in the game. We spoke beforehand about the game plan early in the season where they were really tight, really compact. You give away an early goal, especially at the Etihad, and this is normally the outcome.
Yeah, I mean, with Haaland, obviously, we've mentioned the criticism, but today he was up for it. He had the fire in his belly. He showed everyone why he's the best striker in the Premier League. Such a cool penalty. And then for Wolves, because they conceded so early, their whole game plan changed. They have to go and then on the attack and try and get the ball back off Man City. So what we see in the early game in September, I think it was completely different.
And then Manchester City go 2-0 up. I mean, you asked Erling Haaland about this goal, Jamie, and he shows that he's so effective with his head. But it is only his 4th headed goal of the season, and that's why he said it's something that he's working on, using that height to his advantage.
First since October as well, mate.
Wow.
I mean, when you look at that, it's amazing.
It's incredible. I think just here, though, it's for Wolves, you come with a structure and you come with a plan, and you give the ball away in central areas. You know what's going to happen. When you've got the likes of Kevin De Bruyne, who's in the pockets, or Foden in the pockets, you know you're going to get punished. Of course, the pass has got to be right. Rodri, I thought, was outstanding again. Just a lovely little dink to the back post, and like you said, Jamie, a salmon, are we calling that?
Well, it's a Norwegian salmon.
Oh, no.
Which I'm
What's
actually
the difference?
Well, I'm a fan of Norwegian salmon. It's just, they are just a bit tastier, I find. A bit fresher, with the fresh water there. And that's what he rises like. The old head comes up there. He doesn't really use his arms here. Look, he gets his arms straight. Brilliant header.
Yeah, he does
that one there, Micah. The old, how's it go?
It was a bit more than that.
But I just want to see this goal again, because there's something I'm finding interesting with midfield players at the moment. And we're seeing it certainly at Arsenal, and it's this man here I want to highlight, Rodri. Now, normally we would see, I'm going to try something here because it should work. Normally, Rodri, oh no, he's lost his leg, so we won't do that. We're going to go back to where he was. Sorry, mate, that's not ideal.
Comfortable position for him.
He would normally I would say last year being that position there, Kelly. That's where he would operate. So everything's in front of him, so he can just run the game and orchestrate every single move. When they lose the ball, he's the one person that would always be there, winning individual battles, winning that second ball. What we're seeing now is almost a bit of a throwback where midfielders were just, they could play as an 8, they could play as a 6, and at times he's playing as a 10. We're seeing Declan Rice doing it at the moment. Now, Declan was at West Ham. That was always the position he played in. Now we're seeing more strings to their bow because I think he is so good at doing everything. Why don't you get him into these areas? That he wins the initial one there, boom. Thou normally might have sat back, but he's going, no, I've got an opportunity to run forward here. He plays a delicious pass in. That shows you what he's got. Even for the last goal he's involved in. I'd love to see that because I think nowadays we get pigeonholed. He's a defensive midfield player and he's too good for that because he can make goals. I think you said to me he's got eight goals this season.
Yeah, and 9 assists.
8 goals,
Rodri.
9 assists from what we would call normally a defensive midfield player. But right now, I would just call him a midfield player. You know, because I think it's so important to see the different sides to his game. And that's an unbelievable pass.
Does it help that he's got Kovacic in there alongside him?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Yeah,
that's the freedom to go. Yeah. So if I say Rice is allowed to be a bit more expansive.
Yeah, but normally you wouldn't. You would just say he's just going to stay there. But I think he's got. My point is that these players they've got more to their armoury than just to sit, protect. They can actually play and create chances for their team.
So third goal was again from the penalty spot. What did you make of this decision?
I mean, I think this one was a penalty. I wasn't totally sure on the first one. But again, it's Haaland running in behind. Because Wolves had to chase the game, the space appeared behind the line, and once he gets into stride, it's always going to be difficult. And yes, Semedo there just times it wrongly, and then, again, another penalty.
And this time Jose Zal got a sort of fingertips to it, but it wasn't enough, and the power on that was what put it past him.
Yeah. I mean, you always fancy him, especially when you had a couple of goals. You're feeling confident. Very rarely does a striker miss that opportunity for a hat-trick. Big goal. Big goal for him. It wasn't done there. Still had another one. Still had another one in his locker. Yeah. You know, well, obviously then, yeah, this is the third, yeah. This is the third one. This is his penalty, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, sorry.
Which we saw. And then
so then obviously Wolves got one, and this is an exquisite goal. When I asked him the question about the goal, you could see how much he smiled. He loved it, Micah, didn't he? You know, and it was a brilliant pass as well by Phil Foden.
Yeah, I think it's again Phil Foden finding them spaces in between the lines, and then the finish, the confidence. Look at the aura of the man. You just want to stop it there. You know, you're a midfielder, Jamie. When you get this space in the middle of the park there, and you know how good Foden is on the half term. Obviously, Wolves are chasing the game, but you can't give Foden that much space.
Can I just take it back? This is good. I like this. Just every midfield player we talk about scanning, having a picture, and a bit what Aït-Nouri didn't do. Just keep your eye on Phil Foden here, and how many times he checks his shoulder because he knows the pitch is always changing. He's got in a lovely position there. Now, just watch as we let it roll. Look, how many times he checks his shoulder. Look, he looks here. Right, I'm in a good position now. I've got 20 yards maybe. Again, just in case that picture changes and he gets presses, he looks again. Now I'm in business. Quick check before I get the ball, and then I've got the vision to play that pass. Beautiful. First touch gets a little bit. The first touch is great. Then he gets a little bit lucky. It comes off his knee, and he just puts that into the corner. What a finish this is! Look.
Well, there's the touch you're talking about, but eyes on the goalkeeper. Touch into his favoured side, and then
that little soft touch was so important there.
That was the important bit.
Wow.
So 4 goals for Erling Haaland. We'll take a look at more of them in just a second for Manchester City, because Wolves did again.
Potentially that was a high-pressure, nervy evening. How did your team manage to make it look so comfortable?
It looks like for the result, but it was not. We have the right moments. At the end, we created more chances, and in the transition, we were not really precise in the last I would say pass. But Erling, you know, back to the business, and penalties is a guarantee, and the second goal in the fourth is unbelievable. But everyone was there, and we know we are playing 4, so 3 games left, and now it's coming in 3 games in 1 week, and all the season in this week.
You talked about transitions there. Were they a massive threat for you today? You won it high and in so many good positions, particularly in the early part of the match.
Yeah, in the first 2 actions with Kevin was a little bit anxious in the first action. He was alone and didn't realize it, and could be more calm in that position. The first half was not really good. With 3-0, but it was not really good, and we lost a lot of simple balls. So the players knows for many years that the good players is the player who don't, simple as that, don't lose the ball. And we lost the simple ones, and when that happened, teams like the quality all of them they have, because they have a good patterns, really good. O'Neill is a really good manager, and the pace they have, and it's a really good team. But
he missed a couple of matches after Real Madrid, and he seems to have come back looking fresher, happier, stronger. Do you sense that yourself?
Well, the 20 minutes he played it's not like Julian or Phil or, I don't know, Jeremy or, this type of players in nothing they had top form. But, yeah, welcome, arrived in the right moment, I would say. And we arrived here all together because Kevin was 5 months out, and Kevin more than 2, and the effort from Julian, from Phil, for all the people, Jeremy and Jack. And Jack not much, but all the players were there. Was really good this season.
Not happy when he came off, though, was he, Erling? What was said?
Well, it's a little bit frustrated. I understand the decision of the referee, but sometimes in the long balls all the time, he win the position take, and they pull him and have a fault. And he's a little bit, I say, never fall. He's a little bit, he's in that position a little bit, because in that situation is him doing this, his fault all the time. But yeah, it was like that.
So last question, one more home game to go. Is the key to get there on the final day with your destiny still in your own hands?
Yeah, of course. What happened in Villa 2 seasons ago? Yeah, the same, yeah. Had to win 12-30 against Fulham, always have been difficult, and Spurs always does, because goal difference is not possible, so we cannot draw. And I think Arsenal, for the way they're playing since winter break, it's incredible, the consistency and the quality they have. But it's in our hands. So 3 games, we have to win the first, second, and hopefully we can arrive. I was signing Ryan a contract if you want, arrive in the last game, in destiny in our hands.
Thank you. Well done. Thanks, Pep.
Their destiny is in their own hands. Manchester City 1 point behind Arsenal. They have a game in hand over them. That goal difference that Guardiola said was impossible to overhaul is 6 between them at the moment. 3 games left to play for Manchester City, 2 games left for Arsenal. Yes, difficult, but maybe not quite impossible for them. But we're back. We're back to the predictor tables. We're back to trying to work out what's going to happen. We're back to the Opta supercomputer, which says a 33% chance for Arsenal, twice as likely that Manchester City are going to win it. And so we're looking at the remaining games. You can make a case for some of these fixtures being tricky, particularly when you factor in the stage of the season that we're at and all kinds of things like player mentality or nerves or just all those small things that can come into it.
Yeah, of course. I mean, when you're coming toward the end of the season, you do think differently. I don't care what anyone says. Earlier in the season, if you lose points or lose ground, you can make it back. But these are the games that are the most important, and that's where Man City seem to thrive. If you was asking me Spurs 2 months ago, I'd be saying this is a very difficult game. But now the way Spurs have sort of lost a little bit of form, it's still the game I'd be looking at as a player thinking, Spurs away. Our record's not great there. And the way they play...
It's not great. They've lost their last 4 in the Premier League at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Yeah,
and I think the way that Spurs play, the way they want to push really high, really good on turnovers, it should be an interesting game. I don't want to rule out Fulham as well. What Fulham are doing this season has been excellent. You'd think Man City would have enough to get through that. But if I'm a Man City player, a Man City fan, I'm looking at the Spurs away as the most difficult one out of those 3 games.
The hard thing is like we've seen the movie before. Mm-hmm. We know the ending. Normally, they run away and they win it. It doesn't matter if it's the last minute. They can win it in all different ways, like they did, against Aston Villa in those last few moments as well. they're not easy. They're tricky games, and even I went back. I remember you were with us at in the occasion when they were playing Aston Villa at home, and I think they were 2-0 down at half time. Look, West Ham, and they obviously win it in the end. Gundogan turns it around for them. They're tricky games. They really are. But it's Manchester City, but what Mikel Arteta has to do is just got to keep them honest. They've got to make sure they just win their games. Manchester United away, it's obviously not going to be an easy game, and they just get them to that last day of the season. And if you can even do that and ask the question, because you never know, anything is still possible.
Yeah, that game against Everton a few weeks ago when we were talking about this was Everton might need to win this one. There could be a lot resting on it, but now they know they're safe. Yeah. Maybe we're looking at that in a slightly different way, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's easier. If our season is, as a team, they might not be performing to their best ability, but as individuals, they have game changers.
And obviously, you go into that game, Arsenal, Man United, it's a big game. And all the players want to get up for big games, no matter where you are in the table. I just think with Arsenal now, though, they're a different Arsenal. When we looked at Arsenal last season, it was more of, OK, they're playing a certain style, and it was high press, and they sort of, I wouldn't say one-dimensional, but a lot in their games, you could pick exactly what they was trying to do. This Arsenal team now are different. They will concede possession if they need to. I've seen it at Man City. And they can counter-attack if they need to.
Now, conspiracy theorists will say that Manchester United would much prefer Arsenal to win it than Manchester City. Tottenham Hotspur are obviously not going to want to see Arsenal win the league. Then you start to question footballers' integrity. Are they actually going to try? And I've had so many people asking me, well, Tottenham are not going to, they're not going to want to try too hard and obviously hand the title to Arsenal. I've been in that position as a player on the last day of the season when you're trying to, you get asked questions. It was Blackburn were playing against Liverpool, and everyone was talking about that occasion. Well, of course, you're not going to be trying too hard. We want Blackburn to win the title, not Manchester United. But your integrity as a player is questioned all the time in those sort of situations.
Well, you scored.
Well, I want to win. Kelly, you want to win, because it's your personal pride. If you're a Tottenham player and you're playing against Manchester City, you're on show. That game's going to be on Sky Sports. You're going to want to show your best. You've had a little bit of stick lately. If you've got anything about you, you will give 100%. And that can always happen. So that's going to be such an interesting game. Well, both of them, Manchester United and Tottenham, are massive games because you're putting the players in a position that makes them really uncomfortable because they know if they win, they're going to pretty much hand the title to their nearest, to their rivals. So all to play for still.